Now it's time to move on to our first guess. More than 150 years after the origin of species, Darwinism has been applied throughout the social sciences, not least in the study of business and economics. A new book, The End of Business as Usual by Brian Solis, says we live in a world of digital Darwinism where the caveman principle still applies. Ron Immink is the co-founder of Bookbuzz, and he's joined us here in the studio. Welcome to the show, Ron.
Good morning. How are you?
Maybe you could just start by explaining what digital Darwinism means. That term gets thrown around a lot, and how that applies to businesses.
Well, first of all, that was a lovely intro. Thank you very much. Digital Darwinism. Brian Solis is the author of a book called Engage, and he's an expert in social media. He's fantastic, and what he's maintaining is that at the moment the technology changes are going so fast that it is impossible for consumers and companies to catch up, and it is adapt or die. It's so if you're still doubting social media, and there still seems to be marketers that doubt the power of social media, it's too late. It's happening, and if you don't adjust as an organization, you will perish.
So what precisely is social media doing that is such a threat that we have to adapt to it or we're going to perish?
Well, what do you think the average age of the population globally is at the moment?
I don't know, I guess 21.
Oh, that's not bad. It's 28, because I thought we were actually a lot older. But so we're talking a very young population. So we're talking millennials, and they are all very used to social media. And you just nearly have to imagine a corner shop in your local village on steroids. So all the things that apply to a local shop is now amplified on the web.
What do you mean by that?
If a client has a bad experience, that gets amplified across the whole web. So everything you do as a brand or as a company is transparent. And if you're not engaging, if you are not delivering top quality, if you are not very, very special, then you will not be able to compete, because everything is amplified. And what is also happening, the medium has a memory. So a bad experience 5 years ago is still. You can still find that on the web. So you need to, as a company, you need to be extremely careful at how you deal with all of this.
And is that just about managing the message, or is there something essential to the business that has to change to adapt to this?
It is. It goes back to the core of your company. It nearly goes. There's a book called Marketing 3.0. It talks about the importance of culture, the psychedelic part of your brand, which is the soul of your company. And Solis talks about social capital and the importance of engaging with the client, not only as a transactional, transactional. What would be the word?
Just as a transaction.
As a transaction, but also almost as a meaning.
Yeah.
So how do you touch the heart of your customer? And on social media, that gets amplified almost immediately.
Right, okay, but what you seem to be talking about is what happens sort of outside the walls of your business, and not so much what happens on the inside, where the DNA of the company actually exists. I mean, how does social media change things inside?
Because social media makes you transparent, because every one of your staff members is online as well, and everybody can engage. People don't see an organization as a number of departments. They see it as the sum of all the parts. So it's people to people. It's literally, we're now going back to a one-to-one relationship, which brings us back to the corner shop. The old man behind the till talking to you about your mother, your neighbor, soccer, whatever. It's this one-to-one micro-engagement.
Okay, so you're talking about depth of relationship, and that brings us back even further in history, doesn't it? Because something else Solis talks about is this caveman principle.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
The caveman principle is that despite all what's happening around technology, we are still caveman.
So we still have this prehistoric tendency.
Basically we're still human.
Yeah.
And we still need to build relationships. And he talked, there is this something in our brain, empathy.
Yeah.
Again, empathy is just as valid online as it is offline.
Okay, so how we relate to each other is really significant on this kind of one-to-one tribal level almost.
Yes. But imagine that now on a global scale. So as a small, which is good news for an SME, because actually it's better for an SME because it's easier for the small company to engage on a one-to-one level than it is for a larger company.
Okay, well look, Ron, I'm afraid that's all we have time to talk about this book today, but thanks very much for that illumination, and I'm sure plenty of SMEs out there will be chewing on raw steaks getting ready to apply the caveman principle this morning.